Hey guys, in case you didn't notice, I was a little MIA this last week with everything going on currently in the world, especially after my last video trying to start an actual ritual to do our best to try to help with everything going on between the pandemic and now with the global Black Lives Matters movement happening after the devastating murder of George Floyd. I both felt it, not so much that it was inappropriate, but I decided to pour more of my energy and more of my time into trying to help spread the word, help spread advocacy, and really pour energy into doing my best to help. Especially on Friday, and I'm not gonna lie, I've spent the past several days crying over everything that's been going on, not just recently, but even historically. Not just being an empath, but being someone who has studied history, and you can even go through my content where I talk about the evolution of human religion. I tend to be one of those people who is of the mindset that, yes, we are absolutely all one people. We all descended from the same ancient ancestors and the same ancient ancestry. So I find it particularly devastating that any of our fellow human beings are treated unequally than any others. The inequality, the everything. It's not right, it's not fair, and it needs to stop. I am going to do a reading today to try to see two things. One, will this global movement actually affect change? Because one thing that's been on my mind is, I know with some transition periods, and I said it in my what can we expect the world to look like in like 5, 10, 15 years, I'll link it up here. I had seen a huge transition for the world, and in many ways that I can't even truly see at this point in time, because there's just no way I can envision it, if that makes sense. It's going to be that transformative. And I don't know if this particular event is the beginning of that. I know we've had a lot happen this year in ways that none of us could have ever imagined our world changing. And because of that, I wanted to try to get some sort of information as to, will this global movement, and I'm sorry about the background noise, busy street, people are setting off fireworks, people are on their motorcycles, and even worse, there are idiots drag racing up, not in my immediate vicinity, but you can hear them on the highway nearby. I want to see if this global movement will actually affect change to allow for equality to truly start coming to the foreground. And I mean that for all disenfranchised groups. And yes, that does include those in the Black and POC or person of color community. So I did shuffle this deck off screen. I did not shuffle these. As I was sitting here, I was trying to pick out which decks wanted to talk today. This is probably going to be a longer video, because the first part I am going to do exclusively about this movement and everything, but then I wanted to do a second reading with regards to what's going to happen with the virus. I know what my intuition says, and I just want to see. Actually, I might just do 2 videos. I'll do this one to go up Monday, and I'll do the pandemic one on Tuesday, rather than do an extremely long video, because I know you guys don't generally like that. So at least as I can see it in my analytics. I did shuffle these. I have not looked at anything, so we'll find out. Well, obviously movement, choices, decisions, conflict and defeat, solar plexus chakra, which I always get them confused, truth, balance, patience and planning, fulfillment of wishes, triumph. Wow. Ooh. Okay, let me do accelerated motion. Harmony. Okay. So, yeah. This is a huge transitional moment for us. Just trying to see if I can get most of the cards in frame. Let me look up solar plexus chakra. I always get solar plexus and sacral chakra mixed up. It drives me crazy. One day I hope to memorize it. I really do. Okay, solar plexus is affiliated with the keywords I can, is located between the navel area just below the rib cage. It represents power, vitality, willpower, self-esteem, and confidence. The energy center where your emotions and feelings are recorded. This chakra is associated with clairsentience, or inner feeling. Intuition, which is the major psychic reception area. To balance this chakra, you may want to try yoga, dance, and movement, or breath work with color. In addition, be aware that people who drain your energy, workshops, and classes that focus on empowerment will help you open and harmonize this area. So interestingly enough, how that's the chakra of empowerment and I can. And it spoke a lot about willpower and all of that. Obviously, right now we are in this phase with conflict and defeat. Now I'm going to be very honest. I am a no BS reader, and I'm going to spell it out like it is. Obviously, with the violence and everything that is happening with everything, and I'm not laying blame on anybody, just so you know I have seen it on both sides, but I've seen a lot from the police. And I know that's been a huge contributing factor to things. I get the feeling that there's going to be a huge impact on those who are protesting. And I have a feeling it ties into that, into the virus. I'm not gonna lie. I really do. But one thing that has been a huge, monumental, pinnacle thing to have happen just in the last 24 hours is oh God, I just lost their name. How did I? Anonymous has come to the foreground and has already started hacking and finding out hidden truths and bringing them to light. I've seen some of it, and let me tell you, but I get the feeling that both the protests that are going on and the ICANN, it's funny that the four of these are all together, movement, choices, decisions, conflict, and defeat, ICANN and willpower and truth all came together in this powerhouse spread. And I honestly think that had Anonymous not started contributing to the movement, I'm not sure that it would have been as impactful. But I can tell you right now the sense that I get with Anonymous doing their thing, which if any of their members are watching, I highly doubt it, but if they are, go you. I come in peace. I think them starting to delve into the hidden secrets is really going to cause a huge shift in our government. And I get a strong feeling that the moment they put out that video saying that they were back and they were going to help, it most definitely, having seen before what they are capable of and what they have managed to accomplish over the years, sent shockwaves through not only just regular people, but through government bodies and everything, that they're back. But I do see that the truths, and I don't know if you guys have watched any of the videos where I kept doing readings about coronavirus and saying that there was something hidden and I couldn't see it. I don't know if they're going to be able to find what it is that I kept saying was going to come to light. They may be part of that. I don't know. We'll see when I do the reading regarding the virus. But I have a suspicion that they may find what it is I've been picking up on, because they deep dive, and when people have been asking them to look into certain things, they've been doing so, thankfully. But with these 4 cards, it is so not just interesting to me, but it made me go, really, wow, that balance is getting restored. Patience and planning, and I get the feeling that with this particular card, this has to deal with the legal system. For those who are unaware, a huge reason why things have gotten so much worse in the past decade or so with regards to how the Black community and how the people of color have been being treated is there is this law called qualified immunity. And although people in governmental positions can still be prosecuted, in every community there are going to be bad actors, there are going to be bad parties, there are going to be bad people. And law enforcement, the government, regardless of what it is, there is no exception to that at all. There are bad people no matter where you go. Unfortunately, that's just how life is, and certain fields, such as law enforcement, unfortunately have this tendency to attract people who don't necessarily have the best intentions. And unfortunately, qualified immunity, even though its intention is good, its intention is to protect the people who are doing their job and doing things correctly. Unfortunately, with all the loopholes in it, it's also protecting the people who harm and kill and hurt other people and innocent people. So it could very well be that this may actually indicate that that gets some sort of reformation at the very least, to enact change so that those who do harm with intention are actually held responsible, and aren't just held responsible judiciously, meaning being prosecuted for their crimes, but by allowing the families to hold them financially responsible. It also adds another layer to holding them accountable for their actions. And it may actually reduce the likelihood that they will push the envelope and go too far. Fulfillment and wishes and triumph, that I get the feeling this is, as much as I hate to say, with all the rioting and everything going on, and I'm not saying that it's not justified, I'm just saying I wish there were personally a different way, but I understand why it's happening. I don't want you to think that I'm saying that they're not justified or that they shouldn't be doing it. I'm just saying personally, I wish it wasn't. But I get the feeling in a way that it was needed as a catalyst in order for Anonymous to come back into the foreground, to start helping with the effort, because all the videos of all the peaceful protesters getting harmed and treated very horrifyingly, some of the videos, it's just, go on Twitter, you'll see them all yourself. That's all I'm going to say. They are extremely graphic and they are extremely upsetting. And you see repeated incidents of people who are doing absolutely nothing wrong. People who are complying with demands and people who are listening to what they're being told to do, only to be punished even though they're listening and adhering to what they're being instructed to do. That's not okay. That is brutality. That is crossing a line. And with all these videos, I think that's what really caused Anonymous to go, enough. Enough is enough. But this perfect storm of events is going to affect change. And I like that accelerated motion and harmony came up afterwards, because this indicates that this perfect storm is going to affect this change, and that because of all of this, there is going to be accelerated motion for equality to actually happen for everybody. And I think that is a crucial and important thing. That is something that is way, way long overdue. And, you know, I'm not a perfect person. There was a time when I didn't see my own privilege, and there was a time that, you know, I had that mentality of, you know, well, what about everybody, not just Black Lives Matter? I fully admit that I am not perfect, and even though I have tried ever since I was a little kid to protect and be there for people who are disenfranchised, even I had a period of a couple years where I didn't understand. I didn't get it. But after that short period of time, thankfully I had people around me who could educate me and say, no, you do have this privilege, and here is why and how it is affecting other communities. So I had people around me to educate me, and I'm so sincerely grateful for that. Because it has allowed me to sit here and to use all of my platforms, because YouTube and the platforms I have affiliated with it are not my only platforms. But it has allowed me to use my platforms for good, and for advocating, and for trying to help in every way I can, whether it be through those platforms or personally. And now when I see people who are exhibiting the mentality that I had for a brief period of time, I can sit there and say, no, this is how it really is. And until you acknowledge that, and until you take that time to be educated about it, and really sit and evaluate your own self and say, hey, I'm actually have it wrong right now, you can't take the steps to fix it. And, you know, no one is perfect, and nobody has to be perfect. We all make mistakes, and sometimes we absolutely do get it wrong. But being an ally means even if you don't have it right now, it means taking the time to self-evaluate and take those steps to change and to pick up the mantle and to fight and help people who need it, and support people and be there for people who need that support. Let me just pull a few more cards. Choose wisely. Spiritual strength. Sacral chakra. The other chakra I always get mixed up. And intuition. Okay. So yes, with everything going on, and I know I've said it repeatedly, we are seeing a lot of people awaken their intuition and everything of that nature, but I do see this whole situation also causing another shift. Let's see, sacral chakra. There it is. Okay, obviously with Choose Wisely, we will have, everybody's going through a huge transformative process right now. Not just the Black and POC community, but everyone, especially with this pandemic. We are being forced out of our comfort zone and out of the things that we are recognizing and part of every single day, and being forced to change direction. So keep in mind that some of you may actually have several opportunities present themselves, and take your time picking which direction to go. Right now you have the time. Take the time. You're going to see a large spiritual shift of society, which we've been seeing over the past several years or so. A lot more people have been moving away from organized religion and more into a spiritual headspace. It doesn't even necessarily have to be towards paganism, but people have become more spiritual versus religious. Now, the sacral chakra is affiliated with the keywords I want, and let me just read it off. The second chakra is located 2 fingers below your navel and relates to emotions, desires, creativity, and sexuality. To keep this chakra balanced and its energy flowing, try dancing, which interestingly enough, this one said as well. Moving your hips and lower abdomen. Use a color meditation and practice yoga. Express your sexuality and nurture yourself. And remember, you do matter. And we see the awakening of intuition in society. A lot more people are starting to channel into their energies, which is why I've been doing a lot of introductory videos on things like shadow work and healing yourself and empathic shielding, because there's a lot of people who have these abilities awakening and they've never had that guidance before. Partnerships and alliances. Positive movement forward. And last card, rejoice in celebration. So yeah, things are looking really, really positive for the future because of everything that's going on right now. At least wise with regards to equality. So there are going to be, when it says partnerships and alliances, I never really realized before, but this is a white arm and this arm belongs to a person of color. I never noticed that before. Wow. that makes me feel good. But yeah. You see equality. I see equality happening. It's a very, very good thing. It may take time. It's not likely something that's going to happen overnight. But know that this huge movement and taking action and taking steps into making sure that we hold our government agencies to task and responsibility will help affect that positive change. Actually, before I do this deck, let me do this deck. Because we have the overall reading that I just did. But I want to see the darker undercurrents. I don't just want to see the positive. I want to get the full picture. And we all know where there is light, there is always dark. Now keep in mind, dark doesn't always mean negative. I know it's the popular connotation, but I just want to see what's below the surface of things and what we may expect to see from resistance, let's say. Let's see what kind of resistance we can expect to see. Come on. Me and my tiny hands and these big cards. Like I said, I had only shuffled that deck off camera. So anything that I'm shuffling now is going to be live. I'll find out what it is in a minute. Woo. Come on. Almost done. One more. Okay, so let's see what we can expect from the undercurrent drama. Well, that's not unusual. Denial. We will see people trying to deny equality, and of course we have been seeing that already. We've been seeing the majority of us screaming from the rooftops, Black Lives Matter, and we've been seeing that resistance coming in from people who are like, no, all lives matter. And to explain what I said, where I used to have that mentality, I used to think that it was only a difference in economic status that caused the inequality. Well, it does. Let's be honest. There is racial divide. Abandonment. So resistance is coming in from people who obviously don't want change. Redemption. There's going to be resistance coming in, most likely towards anything regarding reparations. That's the feeling I get. Or actual change. Resistance will come in with regarding empowering people of color. See? Deception. Lies coming in. Abuse. Abuse in the system. Abuse of people. And finally, coercion. People trying to shift the focus. Not just that, but I get the feeling of government, people in power, trying to be coerced into the people who don't want to see this change happen. Coercion under redemption, abandonment and abuse, denial and deception, drama and empowerment. I'm trying to see how they read together. Obviously, drama and empowerment makes a lot of sense because you have people who don't want to uplift the disenfranchised and the oppressed. Denial and deception. People who are not just denying that this is reality, but who are blind. They're fooling themselves. And they're allowing other people who know the reality but don't want people to know it to fool them as well. We may even see a big shift in the foster care system with this, between the abandonment and abuse coming together. I don't know why I get the feeling that that has to do with the foster care system, which, let's be honest, that has needed a huge change. And with the coercion and redemption, I see people trying to take advantage in some way of reparations. I get the feeling of like funds theft. I'm not saying by people, I'm saying by people within the government. Let me do 3 more. Purification, loss, respite. Okay, so that's positive anyway. With regards to these 3, it looks like no matter all this underlying stuff, that there is going to be change. There's going to be a loss and removal of old systems that do not serve society and that are actually causing or encouraging this oppression. And then there's going to be, after a lot of this change happens, there's going to be that period of, okay, now that we've made all these changes, let's pull back for a bit and see how things go and see if additional changes have to be made. And with the envy card, I get the feeling that doesn't necessarily happen within our own society. I get the feeling like this may actually come from outside in some way. Like people looking on, perhaps even other governments thinking that we couldn't do it, and then being irritated that we did it. I don't know if that makes sense. Or that we accomplish it. Okay, now let's try the Moonology deck, and then I'll finish up with the Magical Herb Oracle. I'll try to keep these shorter. Because already this reading has gone on longer than I anticipated. I was like, oh, maybe I'll shoot for 30 minutes. Obviously that didn't happen. See, when the deck is easier to shuffle, it goes a lot faster. I made some people unhappy with me today. Don't mind me. On one of my platforms, I went on a rant because people were complaining about me politicizing things, and I'm like, this isn't a political matter, this is a human rights issue. Just like when I fought for LGBTQ plus community and marriage equality, and I'm still fighting for other equality for the community. Yep. New romantic cycle begins. I get this meaning, not necessarily romantic love, but love in general with our fellow man. A new start is coming. Have faith in your dreams. Nothing is yet set in stone, and it's time to release negativity. Full moon in Scorpio. Let me do one more. Don't let pride get in your way. So, as things start to shift in a positive way, just keep your ego in check. Remember, ego never solved anything when it comes to change, especially, and by letting your ego rule, especially when it comes to addressing or speaking to the people who are trying to help you, or the people who you are seeking assistance from to affect change. It will likely cause more defensiveness than it will being productive. So just keep that in mind. When it comes to negotiations and affecting change, leave your ego at the door. Advocate, know what you deserve, stick to the issue, and don't start the finger pointing or the I told you so's, or we won, haha, you lost kind of stuff. Almost done. One more. Okay. Abundance, awakening, progress. That's awesome. So this whole shift won't just have a equality aspect to it, but you see the economy shifting in a more positive aspect. In that reading for 5, 10, 15 years, I said old paradigms of ways of making money were going to fall away because they weren't going to work anymore. And there was going to be this shift of the underdog, or people who don't have rising up in financial ways. I wonder if this is part of that. Radiate, reflection, creativity. We're going to see a huge shift. I get the feeling like what I said in that video absolutely has to pertain to this. Because as the oppressed and as the disenfranchised start gaining equality and start gaining equal access to opportunities that they may not have now, we're going to see a huge economic shift. Communication, enthusiasm, desire. Yeah, it's going to be a huge thing. I wish I could kind of project this vision that I'm getting in my head onto the screen so you guys could see it too. It's really positive. Let's just put it that way. It's really positive. So, yeah. So it's up to us. It's up to not just the people protesting, not just the people fighting on the ground. It's up to all of us to really force the government to shift and change and make sure that they finally do the right thing. Sorry. I'm sensing one card from here. I don't know what it is. So, just pop out. Come on, who wants to talk? There it is. Gula, healing. It's going to be a very healing experience for all of us. It's going to be healing for everyone who's oppressed and disenfranchised. It's going to be healing for society, and I see a huge positive shift. Not just for the Black community, but Indigenous community, other communities of color, people of color. Yeah, I do get the feeling that this is part of what I said. We'll see that tribalism come back up, but it will involve a lot more cultural exchange. You'll see less cultural appropriation and more cultural exchange, which, if you don't know the difference, cultural appropriation is taking from cultures that are oppressed and disenfranchised, because what that does is it takes from them and there's no reciprocity. So basically it's take, 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 and not giving anything back. But what I see happening to society is a shift from this cultural appropriation behavior to cultural exchange, where it's the equal back and forth, and you won't have people feeling like, well, so-and-so took that from us, and now they're getting all the recognition for it, but we're not getting anything in return. I see that shifting in a huge way. So anyway, I both really hope that this reading comes to fruition. It's how things are looking right now. Granted, nothing is, as one of the cards said, nothing is set in stone. So it really is going to take all of us to make sure that this becomes our future. That we all work together to ensure that those who are oppressed and disenfranchised be given an equal footing and be treated more justly, to ensure that as a society, a lot of this rift and tearing each other apart over things that no one can control. No one can control how much melanin is in their skin. No one can control what race that they are born in, where they are born, any of that information. So it's time to stop treating people horribly for things that they cannot control. Be it race, sexuality, gender, anything. So with that, I really hope this was hopefully an uplifting video in a time when so much pain is happening. And until next time, I am sending you healing. I am sending you all the love and protection in the world. And I wish you the brightest of blessings, and blessed be.